My name is Raul Hoffman. I'm the trainmaster for the Strates Shows. I've been a trainmaster 20 years ago, but this year the trainmaster left to do something in Florida, so I got stuck being a trainmaster again. So I really don't know when the guy is coming back. I hope soon.
How many years have you been with the Strates?
With Strates, I've been in since 1959. In 1959, I had my own rides, my father too. We had a dark ride, we had a wild mouse. I had a fun house, and after that, Mr. Strates gave me another dark ride, which was a pretzel. He said, if you can fix it, you can have it. Well, I fixed it. Then after that, I became the superintendent for 22 years. And after that, he needed a trainmaster because the poor guy died, so I became the trainmaster. So I went on for about 10 years until I found somebody I could break in. And I found him, broke him in, and I said, this is a good guy. So he took over, and then he left. Then there's been 2, 3 other superintendents coming in, but he always keeps me as a backup, no matter what. Raw, go over there and see about that.
In other words, you know where the bodies are buried.
Yes, and I know where everything is buried. But anyway, I like it here because it's been a great family, a very good-hearted family. They treat me very well. Actually, they treat me like one of the family, you know what I mean? And now this is it'd be the 3rd generation that took over. My father and me were with old Mr. Strates, his father. And when I arrived there, naturally he died in 1959. And then he took over. And I remember him saying, please help me, because he kind of scared. You know, you're coming out of college, out of the Marines, you know what I mean? And boom, you know, you got it all in your hands. You don't know what's going on. And I remember a lot of people used to come and say, well, your father owes me money, your father owes me money. He said, if you don't have it in writing, I can't give you nothing, you know, because hell, he would have to shell out plenty of money, you know what I mean? But he grabbed the hold pretty fast. You know, he would just work day and night. We worked at those days, day and night, made money to live on, you know, nothing fabulous, you know. But little by little, we took off and we got better and better and better, until really we were the #1, the cleanest show there ever was Strates Shows. Never a light bulb out, you know, because I used to take care of that side, he used to take care of the business. And if he says, if I ever see a light bulb out, I'm gonna call you, you better put it in. And in Raleigh, it was a Saturday, they must have had 100,000 people, and he calls me and he said, did you look at the wheel? I said, yeah, it's got a rim rail with no lights on it. Well, I suggest you to stop it, get everybody out of there, and fix it. And I said, Mr. Strates, there's 100,000 people out there. There's a line that don't quit. He says, I don't care, stop the wheel. Yes, sir. Went down there, I told the foreman, stop the wheel. He went berserk. What am I going to do with these people?
Was this old man Strates or the
No, this is his son.
Jim
Yes. He's a perfectionist. He wants everything right. If it ain't right, do it right. Okay? That's his thing, you know what I mean? It's not that he's mad or he wants his stuff to be right. The flats, the same thing. The guy sprayed it blue and didn't do a good job because he didn't clean them. So he said, Raul, go back and do it again. And we did it again. We put all the numbers back on. We sanded everything down, you know what I mean, as much as we could. And I think they look pretty decent.
Yeah. How many total cars do you have now, and what's the different flats versus stock or steeples?
Okay, the flat cars we have 48. Okay, there's two cars. They're 90-foot. Those are the latest one I bought because we had the top spin. The top spin won't go on these 85-footers. The crew is about 10 people. We have a set-in man, which the set-in man has got a tractor all the way to about 10 flats from us. He sets in the wagons that comes over there. And then you have a chain crew that chains them. What I do, I take the tractor with a front end loader, hook up all the 4 wagons, which you got 2 pullers and 4 guys setting what they call it hookups. When they're ready to blow the whistle ready, they blow twice. That means go ahead. And we have what they call blockers, which they put the block underneath. Anything happen, they always got to come with a block until they're on the flat. And then we start going down. So there's no in between waiting, you know what I mean? You don't take them from here 10 flats and drop them and come all the way back and do it again. That's why I got that man, he sets it in while we hook up the other ones. So I have a good crew. I have 3 Mexicans and the rest of them American, but they've been with me a while, so they know exactly what to do. There's the puller, he's the head of the puller. The chainers is the head of the chainers. He checks all the chain, makes sure they're tight. I don't want the railroad to come back and say, okay, one is loose way down there, one is loose here. No, they go in there, the guy's got a pipe, he hits them. If they go back and forth like that, that means they're loose. 1 more notch, you give it 1 more notch. And then like now we check for shoes because we went 1,400 miles and the shoes wear out. So we replaced a lot of shoes. Huh?
Brake shoes?
Yeah, brake shoes right here.
Okay.
And we had to replace about 65 right now, and I'm still waiting for a load to come in. We bought more shoes and we got about another 20 to put on. So it's maintenance, and you know, everybody thinks it got nothing to do with a train. The train is a lot of maintenance, because if you don't put the shoe on, it goes to the brake beam, burns the brake beam, you stop right there. Then you got to lift the car to take the brake beam out, because you got to take all the wheels out. So it's about 3 or 4 hour job. So it's a very critical that they change those brake shoes. You know what I mean? And
about how many you have it scheduled, say, for every so many thousand miles, or do you just check?
No, we got to check in every time we stop. You know what I mean? We move. We check it. Right now we know it's only 60 miles, so nothing's gonna get out of whack, except, you know, you never know. But we check for cracks on the wheels itself, because one time we did find a crack. It was all the way down to the bearing, and I don't think it would have made the next trip. It would have just busted. It would have derailed a lot of cars. Those are the things we watch.
Tell me, is the Orlando to Danbury your longest run of the season?
Yes.
Tell me about what you do in loading in Orlando from winter quarters.
Yes.
And what you do here, well, en route. What do you
Oh, when you go unload.
Then unloading here. Tell me about
Yes.
that sequence.
Well, as I said, we have 48, and we load about 10 at a time, 4 wagons at a time. The loading procedure, everybody knows that the hookup man has to hook up, the pullers has to pull, and I take them all the way down to 10. When we finish that, then what we ask the railroad for a cut. That means he's going to grab those 10, put them on another line, and bring us 10 more flats. And that continues going until you get all loaded. When it's all loaded, me and the train crew and the railroad people go through and check everything. He checks the change, he checks the handhold, he checks this one, the angle cock, the heads, make sure that everything is okay. Because the engineer, like if you have a leak, it won't go nowhere. It'll just stand there going like that, but it won't go nowhere. So you have to find out where the leak is. So you have to walk this train maybe twice, 3 times before it leaves. Because if you do have, usually the angle cock has a leak, they're easy to take off, but it take about an hour, you know what I mean?
Show me.
This is the angle cock.
Just a second.
And right around here it starts leaking, so you have to take all these hoses off and fix the leak. Just okay.
Got all about that.
And it's here. It's a process, you know what I mean, where you don't rush it. You take your time until I know that I'm safe. Okay? If I have any big problem like going down, the whole train crew rides the train with my assistant. Anytime the train stops, it stops for a reason, not because it wants to stop. Sometimes you got chains loose, sometimes you got a hot bearing, which these rail all have sensors, not here, but when you go on the main line. And it tells you which one it is, because we have another one. I don't know if I see it here, right in that corner.
I can go with you.
Yeah. Okay, this, the trainmaster, when it comes to a station or any what they call a hotline or the main line, this will tell him what car number and if it's okay. The engineer hears that number 5 is okay, number 8 is okay, number 9 has a hot box. Boom, he comes to a halt. So he tells the guy, go number 8 and check it. So they're all numbered. He comes there and check it instead of checking every one. You know what I mean? Yeah. So actually it's computerized to tell him whatever's wrong. Mm-hmm. Okay, then if it's a big problem, then they cite you. Then you have to make a decision, either cut it out or wait for them to fix it. Usually sometimes it takes a day.
Where does a hot box occur?
A hot box?
Yeah.
It's right here.
Okay.
This is a bearing.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Once this bearing gets old, inside becomes no grease, because these what they call seal bearings. You can't put grease in it. Mm-hmm. So now this gets hot. By this getting hot, the wheel gets very hot. Okay? Now when the wheel gets hot, it could cause a crack and break the whole wheel. That's why they have that monitor on the rail that tells them where's the hot box. Okay, the hot bearing. We call it a box because it looks like a box.
How many years have you had these sensors on the car? Is that
Well, these are new. Before, they used to pull us until the wheel came off, you know what I mean? You know, so these are new. They've been here about, I'd say, a good 10 years. But they're very helpful for everybody.
Yeah.
Because if he stops the engineer and he comes to me and he says, number 9 has a hot box, naturally, I'm not going to look at everyone. I'm going to go run to number 9.
Have you had any derailments since you've had the hot boxes?
We never had a derailment. The only time we had a derailment when we played Yonkers, but that was because of bad line. They had rotten crossover ties, and the track split open.
That would have been when?
That would have been about at least 12 years ago when we stopped playing the Yonkers. When they were backing up, they were so rotted that the track would split wide apart, and the wheel went down. Now, when the wheel goes down, again, you have to lift the car up, take the whole wheel off, and they check them. Okay? Once they said they're okay, then you put the wheels back in and you put the top down.
Give me a sense of an idea of how much investment you're carrying on these rail cars, flat cars.
Well, between just the rides itself, it's got to be $8 million, maybe more. With the flats, are $7,500 a piece. Okay, and that was cheap because at those days, 18 years ago, when CSX decided do not piggyback, the trucks, these went to be cut. And I found out a place in Jacksonville where there must have been 100 there. And I told the guy, listen, we need some of these. And he said, well, they send them to me to be cut. And I said, well, give me a price, you know what I mean? And he said, well, $7,500 a piece. He said, that's what we get when we scrap them between the wheels. The wheels at $2,500 a piece. Between the wheels, the steel, the bearings, the spring, came to, he said, about $7,500.
And this would have been $7,500 in what year?
Well, I would say 1970. Okay?
Yeah.
And we had them ever since. So before they didn't have except 30 or 40 flats. Now we got some at home. We're up to 50. We got 48, actually 52.
How many sleepers do you have?
Sleepers, we have 8 sleepers that accommodate 16 people each sleeper. They have a shower and a restroom. They have lights 24 hours. They have water. We have 2 generators in the boxcar. That's to give power to the train, to the rooms, you know what I mean? So they won't be in the dark because they might fall out.
The Strates have a family car.
Yes, number 21, that's Mr. Strates' private car.
And what was the origin of that car?
A what?
What was the origin of that car?
Well, the origin of the car, I think he told me it came from an executive from the railroad. I think it was Chicago. I'm not pretty sure, but I'm pretty sure he said Chicago. This executive made the car, for him, so it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
When they got to Orlando, used it about, maybe 4 or 5 years. Then he redone the whole thing inside again. His wife picks, what she wants, and he does it.
Well, how old is that, are the sleepers?
The sleepers, I say between 1939 to about 1948. Some of those sleepers belong to the Royal American Show. When they went under, we bought, I think, 2 sleepers from them.
Okay.
So the sleepers really have a history for themselves.
And what about the flats?
The flats, well, some of them come from a circus, the small one. That came from a circus too, the loading flat. And
what circus did that come from, you know?
Yeah, that was what? Huh?
Clyde Beatty?
No, it was. We bought a lot of stuff from them too.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly the name, but it'll come to me.
Okay. And then what about the other cars? Where did you get them?
Well, some were here already from his father.
Okay.
I don't know where he got those.
What about the 90-footers? Where did you get them?
The what?
The 90-footers.
The 90-footers we got in Syracuse. as we bought rides, we needed more flats. So every time we go to a big city, and Syracuse had these 90 footers, we needed it because we had to put some other wagons on, and they didn't have any of those plates. They called those crossover plates,
right,
that you can cross from one to another. So we put the crossover plate, and we knew we were going to buy the top spin, and the top spin sits in the middle. It cannot sit back there because of the weight. So it sits in the middle and takes one flat itself, you know, without disconnecting anything, just runs in it. And she's the last to load. Like if I bring 10, I'll have a 90-footer sitting there. I'll load those 9, and here comes the top spin, because it takes about 3/4 of an hour sometime to get up there. You know, you got to be perfect lined up, because if you're not, you're going to blow tires, and if you blow tires, it ain't, you know, too easy to jack and move tires out of there because of heaviness.
What are the key elements, if you'll point them out to me, of the flat car that you have to, that you deal with? Not the one below, but the flat.
Okay, well, up here we have, if you go just a little bit back,
Okay.
we can see the railroad calls, those there are tied down chains.
Okay.
The railroad called them dogs because you can pull them just like you're pulling a dog, okay? So the tie down chain, you need 8 to 10 each wagon. You need 4 for the axle up front, 4 for the axle in the back. The top spin needs 16. So all of these dogs, once they're all tied and they're straight like in a V, it can't move. If this breaks, it can't go anywhere. You know what I mean? Because the other chains hold it in the back. Okay? But if you just had 2 here and 2 there, if this break, it would go all the way back.
Right. Now, okay. Where are the gunnels?
The what?
The gunnels.
The crossover plates?
The gunnels.
Oh, the gunnels. These are the gunnels.
What are their purpose?
Okay, their purpose is when a wagon gets on the flat, so it won't fall this way. The gunnels sometimes are dangerous when a polar pulls and all of a sudden he gets a rock in there or something, that the pole will pull this way and it touches this. As soon as it touches this, it'll throw the polar right out. It'll probably go 16 feet. I did that. I got 20 stitches. So the gunnels are here to protect so you don't get off, because once the wheel gets off, the wagon will just tumble over. And that is the protection. If you notice, these are crossover plates. There's nothing here.
Right.
Now we have to be very careful. When the polar starts pulling, I'm watching him. When it gets to here and it goes over the crossover plate, it's got what they call a sudden jerk. And both of them will come like this real hard, and boom, they go up. Once they're up, they're okay, because going down, there's no jerk. It just goes down. But coming this way, there's a jerk. So that's when they have to watch out, because if they get thrown out, the wagon goes right here.
Okay. Now, what are the rails in the middle for?
The rails in the middle, that's for the dogs, for the tie-down chains.
The dogs?
Yes.
Okay.
They slide back and forth whenever you need them. You can slide them back and forth. That's why they call them dogs, because I could take one and slide it here, or I can take one and slide it all at the other end.
Okay.
And that's your tie-down.
And what else about the flat car do we need to know?
Well, there's a lot of little things like this handle right here. If I lift it all the way up, it'll disconnect these 2 here.
Right.
So the railroad, what doesn't like, that they inspect this all the time, is that the handle don't go back and forth like this. Once it go back and forth, once you pass a certain ½ inch, they will disconnect. Once they disconnect, they go on emergency. Emergency, every brake in this train is locked. And all the wagons now start breaking chains because there's a sudden stop. We had a couple of emergency where it broke like 30, 40 chains. And we sat there for about 6, 7 hours, chaining.
On the main line?
On the main line. There was nothing coming. So we sat there, and that's why I have a crew in the train at all times. That crew, as soon as they stop, everybody goes out. And they ask the conductor what it is, and he says, well, I think we have a problem down, you know, he'll tell them where. And they said, okay, hold still until we come back, because that guy could take off.
Yeah.
So the last man comes back and says, okay, we're all in, then he could leave again. So it's really a job where safety is involved, all kinds of equipment involved. Sometimes the equipment opens up because some reason or other they didn't do it right, and it comes on like this, an arm on the main line, while another train comes this way, it'll break that right to pieces. So that's when we have to look. So every once in a while we'll just walk. When they stop, we'll walk all the way down and all the way back.
On the way up from Orlando to here, about how often did you have to stop?
The what?
On the way up from Orlando to here, did you have to stop, or was it?
Well, yeah, they stop.
You changed crews, I guess, right?
Yeah. Every 12 hours they stop, but they stop 10 hours before because it takes 2 hours for the crew to get there.
Yeah.
They come there by taxi. They have to stop wherever they are at. You know, they can't, once the hour passes, you can't go says, well, I got 10 more miles, I'm in the yard. No, they're gonna stop right there. The yard send them the crew. They get off there and the other crew gets in. The other crew comes in, the first thing they go, inspect the train. Because they kept asking these guys, okay, yeah, okay, no. They got to inspect the train again.
Tell me about the loadout.
The loadout, this is the most important thing in the loadout. You see on top of it that we have what they call, we call them runs. They come down 40 feet and that we block them all, make sure they don't give. Once we did that, the first wagon comes forward and I'll pull him all the way up to here. The blockers will block the wheels, and then the pullers will grab the other wagon, hook me up to it, and we put them together. Once they're together, I pull that up until that first wagon is on the loading flat, and then the other one comes up and hooks to that one. Once we have 4 of them, then we pull them all the way back. Usually it's 10 flat. I think here we're going to go back to about 25 flats or 20 flats. Then when that is done, the setup man, which is very important, all these people are very important. The pullers are very important. Without that, you couldn't do anything. You got to have pullers with strength, and they got to look out because they're walking sideways and looking always at the wheels to make sure they got plenty of clearance on both sides. Once there's no clearance and just touch that, his go flies out because that thing will spin around so fast that you can't stop it. So now we get the set-in man. The set-in man is in charge of setting them in. That means pull them forward as far as they can go. Once he's got them forward, he puts what they call the crossover plate up, and then he stays away about a foot. Then after he does that, he tells the guy, hook me to the other one. He hooks to the other one, and that comes out until they clear the plates in the back. Then they go up again. Now he calls for the chainers. The chainers, 2 on the front, 2 in the back, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, they chain them. I already have 4 of them ready to be pulled this way. So when he's finished, I'm coming with 4 more. So he's waiting for me. As soon as I come there, I drop him and go back and get some more. He knows the routine again. Go all the way up, make sure that the 2 wagons do not touch each other, because they'll rub like this, and it's a no-no with the railroad. They don't want nothing close than a foot. Then after that, we keep loading until we got sometime 10. Here we're gonna have 25 or 20. Once that is over, then the whole crew comes over there and have coffee and stuff like that, and waiting for the railroad to pull those flats out and give us brand new ones. Usually it takes them about an hour to do so. Once then when they go across, then the train inspection comes in hand. They go through the train themselves, make sure that everything, all the chains are tied down, there's no obstruction anywhere. Once they did that, then they're ready to go. It's time to go. You know, it's a go. So that's what we got to do every time, and it takes about, we start at 7, we probably be finished by 8 at night.
7 in the morning?
7 in the morning, sometime 8, sometime 9. Depends on the railroad, how fast they can bring the other flats here. Some railroad, we wait 3 hours. So it slows us down real badly. Now, when everything's okay and everything, we got to make up the train. That's the other side of the train. We want all the tractors and drive-offs first, and then the rest of the wagons in back of it, because without a tractor, you can't hook them and bring them.
So is this the last car to be loaded then?
Yes, this is the last car. The only thing it has on is the runs and 1 farm tractor, which puts the runs together. Then it comes off, then there's 1 behind that comes off, and now we start going back and forth after all the trucks are down, because we need the trucks to pull them from here to the fairgrounds or from here to the mall. So without
How many trucks do you have?
we have 6 trucks that does that. They're all R-Max.
And they pull 4 wagons at a time?
No, they pull only 1. He does not allowed to pull more than 1.
Okay.
Sometimes we get away with 2. But if it causes an accident, you know, we don't do that. We try to get the safety first. Watch for the equipment. Make sure when equipment lands that you look and see that everything is together, that it doesn't come open on the highway and hit a car. Okay, so everything pretty much, the whole crew plus the superintendent and his men come down and look at everything. So we have a safe trip and a safe going to the fair and coming back.
Tell me about the wagons behind me and maybe some of the unique aspects of the fleet here.
All right, the wagon behind me, one where this says Strates Shows, is a what they call a ticket wagon. Ticket wagon happens to be a polling wagon. We have polling wagons and we have regular wagons. A polling wagon is where 2 pollers will grab the wagon and guide it all the way back to whatever flats we tell them to stop. The other ones cannot be pulled, so they hook behind me, and that's the tilt-a-whirl wagon. Now, we had an incident with a tilt-a-whirl wagon where if you see the top, you've got a big arm. Well, that arm got loose, and it came out into the main line, the other main line, while a train was coming. And that train hit that, and it was like a helicopter. It went straight up and came straight down. We stopped the train. We couldn't do nothing. We couldn't grab it and put it on. It was too heavy. So we left it. But all the inspectors, the railroad people, the inspectors, the DOT were there, everybody, and trying to find out why it got loose. Well, sometime, you know, something happens like a chain breaks and it'll get loose. And that's the biggest incident we had as far as one of our equipment hitting another train. Okay? Now, the other ones, if you look far down, we have the coaches, those where everybody sleeps. We have 8 coaches, and then we have the number 21. It starts with number 21, 51, from 51 to 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all for the help. Car 51 is for the, what they call foremen that are in charge of rides. Car 21 is the show owner's car, which he dearly loves, that if you put a scratch on there, he wants to know who did it, why he did it, and who's going to fix it. I mean now, and don't matter what day it is, it means now. So we really be careful with that coach. He wants all the flags up. If you see him, they got all the flags up. And in every ceiling of the train has 2 spotlights, so that lights up the walkway so nobody gets hurt. The other trailers here, one is for the giant wheel, and the trailers alongside of it is for the giant wheel. And then you see another ticket box loaded with ticket boxes. And then the other one is for the Thunderbolt.
Ready.
Okay, this is the ticket box wagon. Only ticket box goes in there. And you see in the back there's a hookup. This is what they call a polling wagon. A polling wagon's got 2 wheels up front only, so it's easy to go back and forth. If it had 4 tires, then the guys cannot pull it. So that's why we have 10 polling wagons to load this train, plus tractors and R-Max, what they call trucks, so that everything goes pretty smooth.
Now, some of the rides, like the wheel, have
Yes.
their own track.
Yes. The wheel, the top spin, the Thunderbolt, the Himalaya, the Music Express, the Dark Ride has their own tractors. They will never be unhooked. They run right on top of it, and we drive them all the way down in position.
And those are the last to load, right?
Those are the last to load and the first one to come off. We need at least 6 tractors to pull all these wagons to the fairground. And we need naturally a farm tractor to pull them off after, you know, the wagons. So they pull wagon off, they unhook it, one tractor driver pulls in the back, hooks it up, and down they go to the fairgrounds. Sometimes we go with an escort of about 10 to 12 trailers, because there's drivers that drive the rigs that's hooked up to the trailer already, and the other one hook up to the wagon. Now, the escort has got about 4 policemen up front stopping traffic and having one lane. We got to stay on the right lane going about 30 miles an hour until we get to the location. We put them in place, and then we run back and get some more until everything's unloaded.
Who does the spotting of the layout of the rides?
Okay, the layout of the rides, everybody's got a job, so he's what they call a lot man. The lot man, before we come in, has the lot mapped, where everything goes, no matter what it is. A small show, a big ride, he's got it all laid out. When the wagons come, he knows the wagon. Okay, this one comes here, and he backs them up. Okay, you're in place, take off. And that's what he does all the time until everything is spotted. When that's finished, then the superintendent come out and starts with his men going up. So in the carnival, everybody has their job to do. You cannot do somebody else's job because, you know, you interfere with his routine. I unload the train. They take it over there to the fairgrounds. The lot man puts him in location. The superintendent starts going up with the rides. He has all the men. He's in charge of all the labor there that we have. My crew, after we unload everything, we have to spot the sleepers. We usually have a place by the railroad yard. They give us water. That's the only thing. We have our own lights. They start washing the whole thing, putting the flags up, the lights up, because Mr. Strates, when he comes in, he wants everything perfect.
What's this behind you?
All right, behind me is what they call a giant wheel crane. Once the base of the giant wheel is put together, and then the frame, which is looks like a pyramid. After that, they got the spokes. So this crane picks up one spoke at a time, takes it all the way up to 100 feet, and it goes in what they call the center. The center had holes for each spoke. Once they go in, they pin it. Once they pin him, then they take that spoke and take it about 30 feet back like this and hook it up so it doesn't swing back down. The next spoke goes the same way. It goes up, it gets spinned. The only thing now, when this one goes back, we have what they call a brace of lights that hooks between one spoke and the other one so they cannot go back together. Okay? Now, once that did, the routine keeps coming, and there's a big motor with about an inch cable that grabs these spokes and pulls them always back. Grabs them and pulls back until you got a complete circle. Once the circle is completed, the last two rim rails, that's what they call them, rim rails, go in and makes the circle. Now when that is finished, then they have to run it. They put all the the hydraulic motors together. They put them all together. Now it runs to make sure it's perfectly straight, so it doesn't wobble back and forth. Just like a car, when you get your wheel aligned, we got aligned the wheel itself. Once that's done, then they put the cars up. 4 men lift the car and they pin it. They got 2 pins each. One, they're about, I'd say, a ½ inch pins, and they go in, and then they put the pins in it, the R keys, and they have a box where it goes over so nobody gets hit or banged up or scratched up.
Is that your most labor-intensive ride?
Yes, that and the top spin.
How
The
long
top
does it take?
spin. Well, it takes usually a day and a half, starting from 7 until 12, 1 o'clock, sometimes 3 o'clock. Depends how much time we have. If we have a lot of time, then they make the circle, which all the spokes are in, and then the next day they get up at 7 and finish it. And then that following day, the inspector comes and inspects all the rides.
Okay. Let's walk on over this way.
Okay.
And tell me about these cabs that are parked along the...
Okay, these cabs here, we call them mules, but they're R-Max that got 5 speeds, very low speeds. They wait for the trailer or the wagon to come on down. Once the wagon passes the runs and is free, they unhook the tractor, and these Max will back up to it and hook to it and take it to the fair.
Okay.
So they usually go on convoy.
And this is a ride that isn't being used?
Right, this ride isn't being used. because they didn't have enough room.
Yeah.
This is what they call a children's swinger. It's a chair ride, you know, with this.
Right.
We have the big one called the family swinger. This is the children's swinger.
Right. Now, is this the fuel truck?
This is our fuel truck. He gets up at 5:30 in the morning, takes this truck full of fuel, and he puts the fuel on every generator. We have about 16 generators. Every one, he tops them. We have to top them every morning because you don't want to run out of fuel in the middle of a big crowd. So that's his job to do. He's in the electrical department. He takes the truck and tops every generator.
Okay. What's this little rig here?
This one's a concession. These are concession trailers where games go in there, or this is a freezer, and puts all his food in there and freezes it, and that's what he uses it for.
And this little...
And this one here is one of the dollies that goes under the wagon. Sometimes we take these out because they'll go down the highway. So this has to be pulled back down and hooked to a wagon. If you see here, it's got a name on it. And it says...
Music Express.
No, okay, yeah, Music Express. This used to belong to another one. But it says Music Express because each wagon has different heights. So if you put this one that's higher, the wagon will be uphill like.
Okay.
If you put it too low, then it's like this, and it's very hard to pull down the highway.
Okay. And this is my car.
Now this other one, it's what they call a wire wagon. Every cable that's in the midway, electrical cable, fits in here. So his job is to hook up. He's got a four-wheeler, hooks up to the cable, takes it wherever he wants to, and drops it. It takes 5 cables to hook up a ride. So that's 360 plus a ground and a mechanical ground.
Let's stop for a minute and look at the cars. Tell me again, this is the...
This is the pride and joy of Mr. and Mrs. Strates. This is their own personal car. The children used to live in there. Now they're all married. They have their own living quarters. So Mr. and Mrs. Strates live in here. They have a dining room, they have bedroom, I think there's 4 bedrooms in there. Shower, toilet, whatever, air condition, anything you want, it's in there.
And then you have the sleepers on down here.
Yes, car 51 is for foremen. That means they're in charge of their own ride. They sleep in car 51 because it's like the Army. You got the general here and the captains right next door, colonels, whatever. So that's what we say.
Yeah.
The closer you are to car 21, the higher you are.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, this is the generator that was brought here because one of the generators in the boxcar, the radiator got a hole because the fan broke. One of the fan blades broke and went inside the radiator. So Mr. Gould, that's his job, runs over here and brings this generator and hooks up so everybody has lights until they fix the generator inside the boxcar.
And this next one?
This one here is what they call a bunkhouse. A bunkhouse is one that goes for any worker. That bunkhouse, this bunkhouse, when we don't have any more room on the train, we have 2 bunkhouses.
Now this car here, is this a generator car?
This is a generator car. This is what they call a box car, number 18. This got 2 generators, a small one and a big one. It's got oil, as you see there. And when we change oil, we put them in those drums, and then the guy comes and picks it up.
Are these spare parts here?
Yeah, these are shoes. Those are the train shoes. We have pumps to pump the oil and put them in generators. They got to be checked every 3 or 4 hours.
any parts for the train and generator is in here.
Okay. How many of your people go overland in their own transport?
Well, all the concession people.
Okay. So this would be concession.
Yeah, concession people has a contract with Mr. Strates. We don't put none of that in the train.
Okay.
This is what they call a staff bunkhouse. Staff bunkhouse, that means the people that works in the office. Myself is in there, and 4 people in the offices are in there. We have a shower, toilet, everything in there is already hooked up with water, lights, air conditioned, everything.
Okay. Is there anything unusual about the rest of this train down here? The sleep?
Well, these are all sleepers for the men. And this year we painted a different, Mr. Strates wanted them blue and white. They used to be orange and white, and so he wanted something new, so we worked about 2 months on them, and we got them all. We painted them all different color.
So this is the first time for this blue and white?
This is the first time blue and white.
Okay.
There. You have the Enterprise that's got like that, and the Music Express. Now, it doesn't have any name. I'm pretty sure that's the Music Express instead of the Enterprise.
And
But this is the last of the trains, you know what I mean? It's like Americana, you know, it belongs to the United States, you know what I mean? They've been on rails since 1924, and we're the last. We tried to make it very hard to keep going and going. But at some time, a lot of difficulty, a lot of obstacle you got to go over. The fuel is sky high, and everything starts raising up, you know what I mean? And we just try to survive like any other business. You know, when things gets rough, you tighten your belts. So that's what Mr. Strates comes in, and his sons, you know what I mean? They investigate what's the best price to get for fuel, you know what I mean? The best price to get for the railroad. Don't forget, every time we move, it costs a lot of money, you know, and especially when it rains 6 days, we lose a lot of money.
is the Danbury Fair sort of a shakedown run for
The Danbury Fair is what we call, we painted everything, now everything goes together in Danbury. It's like, say, a playing out of town to get everything perfect, you know what I mean? So now we got everything perfect. Now the first place would be a fair, you know, a nice looking fair. Then after that we go to Elmira, Hamburg, Syracuse, which you got to be immaculate there. You draw 1 million people, you know, you can't have anything break down or anything out of place. So that's what we do. We have a run, we're here a month, so we do a lot of stuff here. We paint, we fix, we change things. If a ride doesn't go the right way, we're gonna have to change something, you know what I mean? You can't take no for an answer. You got to go look at it when somebody says, you know, I hear something wrong. You got to go over there, look at it, discuss it, and then do it. We have a technician, a superintendent technician, which his job is just to do technical work, computer, because most of the rides are computerized. So when something go off, like a thunderstorm hits one of them, it knocks something out, he's over there already checking what got knocked out. So we have that, we have a superintendent, then we have a safety manager, then we have a concession manager, then we have a trainmaster with a crew, then we have the other one is called he's a welder. He goes around with the safety man. Whatever he says, he does. If there's any little crack, he has to fill it. So he grinds it down to a V and fills it. Sometimes you see what we call a work call. A work call is that everybody gets up at 8 o'clock, goes down there. Sometimes they have to put all the lights on the rides that they're missing, or one or two are burned out with the rain. Sometimes they have to go over there and wash the rides. Sometimes they have to go out there and grease the rides, because maintenance is the most important thing to a ride. Just like a car or anything else. You don't change the oil, that ain't gonna run too good later on, okay? So that's the way.
Here's a possible question.
Yes.
In 3 minutes, give me your background.
In 3 minutes. Well, my background is I come from Italy, from an Italian family and a German grandfather. And we had circuses in Italy. And my father come over here in 1939, and he got a job. At that time, they were playing nightclubs. He got a job doing very well, and then...
Name?
Huh?
Your father's name?
C.E.O. Hoffman, his name was, but they call him Leo.
Okay.
When he went to Ellis Island, actually, they grabbed him, and sometime he used to be the interpreter for prisoners, German prisoners and Italian prisoners, because he spoke both languages.
Was this during the war?
Yes, during the war, yes. And that's the only time he got the American citizenship. My uncle was in the Air Force, he was a map maker, and the other one was in the Army. And we were in Italy. So we had Italian in the war, Germans in the war, and American, the same war. So I come here in 1946, I went and started playing with the circuses. The first one, actually, I played in a nightclub, and then they had a law in the nightclub. If you were not an adult, or you were 13 or 14, you couldn't work in a nightclub.
So how old were you when you came here?
I was 13.
Okay. You were born what year?
1934, March 1934. So that's when my father decided maybe we should go in the circus, you know what I mean? Then nobody bothers anybody. So we went with Gil Gray, I remember, in 1949 was Gil Gray. And then after that came Clyde Brothers. And then after that came Ringling. And then after that we split up. I went in the Army, I was in Korea for a while, and then came home and I started a teeterboard act. And that's when we went with Ringling.
What were your performance routines when you were on Gil Gray and
Mine, I used to do juggling, 5 people juggling act. I used to do trampoline. I used to do a comedy act called The Four Sailors. And I used to do web and ladders and break horses for the guy that had the horses, ride horses. You know what I mean? Whatever they wanted me, I'm in.
Sure.
I used to get $25 more a week. A lot of money.
Well, what caused you to change over from the circus to the carnival?
Well, when my father quit and everybody disbanded because there was too many of us, I had a friend that lived in Sarasota that worked for Railway Express. And he knew Mr. Strates because he was his manager. He asked me if I wanted to go down there and work. So I said, yeah. So when I got here, Mr. Strates gave me a ride. My father had his own, you know, I used to put it up for him. But he gave me my own. That was the first time I ever had $1,000 in my pocket. You know what I mean? I thought I was a millionaire. So from there, we bought more rides, and then...
You and your father?
Yes. Then the clincher came. My father was mad because central ticket boxes, they were going to sell all the tickets and then count them and give you the money. Well, it didn't go over too good. So we sold out and I became the superintendent. Okay. I've been here ever since. Okay. That's about the extent of my life here.